Welcome back to the fourth episode of Motor City Realist this season. This might be a record for Mike and I, doing 4 in a row to kick off a season. But we're both back in the studio. Mike, how you doing today?
Good, man. Good. I told you when we were coming on, I said, Zach, you need to take over the show. This is all you, baby.
Yeah, so that's why you guys are hearing my voice first this week. But let's hope it doesn't switch up the luck, because we are back above 500 to wrap up week 3. Took down the Falcons, didn't allow the ball in the end zone. Overall, what are your thoughts coming off that win?
Yeah, I mean, to get right into it, it's a great. I think we had both of us had them winning in different fashions. I had a few more points. I think the offense looked good, but overall, everything that we touched on last week kind of came to fruition this week. We'll talk about the Pash Rush, some other things, but well-rounded. Gibbs, not quite the stat line that we had predicted, but still played good. Between the two, the big head-to-head was between him and Bijan. Obviously, he outperformed Bijan. I think he had 80 yards rushing. But yeah, I mean, I really can't complain. Golf, unfortunately, another pick. So you and I text each other. We got to start this. Every time he throws a pick, we got to start this. This all over again for him to go for the record.
I'm back off the golf train now. No, I'm just kidding.
Here we go.
I'm just kidding.
but no, and then Aiden Hutchinson, he just got pronounced the NFC Defensive Player of the Week from this last week, and I saw a stat that he's actually leading all players in the NFL of QB pressure. So great to see.
Yeah, something like I'm trying to find it here. We had six different Lions producing a sack in that game. Was that this game?
Yeah, that was. I think Hutchinson, and actually Hutchinson was the last one. He had the two at the end, So
yeah. So I guess that was tied for second most players with a sack in a game in team history. So yeah, just like you said, what we were talking about, that pass rush defense as a whole stepped up big this week.
And obviously, I think we'll obviously touch, like we always do, on the Green Bay game for Thursday night. But Jordan Love's one of those guys that a lot like Patrick Mahomes, as far as scramble ability. That's where sometimes you get some of these games get too out of hand, or the QB tries to do too much, that you can have another game like that. Desmond Ridder is one of those guys who's willing to scramble too, like Atlanta this past week. So hopefully we see another coming out party, put two really good weeks together, back-to-back weeks here on our defensive line.
Yeah. You brought up the switching from the defense to the offense. You brought up the running backs. That's what we were looking at, was the matchup between him and Gibbs and Bijan Robinson. And like you said, Gibbs wins that battle. Both of them putting up fewer yards than I thought they would, but I guess you can't really blame the Falcons. They fell behind, and you just don't really run the ball a lot in that situation. But still, nonetheless, liked what I saw out of Gibbs, and so just curious what your thoughts are on what you saw out of him.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think we both said Gibbs would land with 2 touchdowns. I just thought it was just one of those games where, performance-wise, I wasn't necessarily even saying he was going to have 100 yards. Maybe I don't know. But either way, I just thought he'd get in, because obviously Montgomery wasn't there. But between him and Robinson, Robinson I thought should have had the better game, just on paper, because I can't believe, I've never paid attention to Atlanta's roster the past. Like to me, Kyle Pitts does not scare you anymore. I mean, he had the rookie season, but I mean, there was nobody on that roster. So I figured they would just ride Bijan, and our defense stayed pat. There's a lot of hitting him in the hole, a lot of hard hits there. Branch and those guys really woke up, and Branch has played good all season, but him, Campbell, but I'm just surprised, more so, not that Gibbs didn't have the 2 touchdowns, but more so that Bijan didn't have, more yardage or more. I mean, I guess just anything. I just felt like he's kind of the superstar that we have, and there's really, looking at that roster, like I don't know anybody.
Yeah, I was surprised that they were 2-0 and had the start that they had to the season, to be honest. And
I think a lot of people were.
Yeah. They had a rough game this week. We like that because Lions fans, but I just don't think it gets any better for the Falcons. but it is what it is. I'm not basically I'm not surprised at the way this game went, and I'm kind of glad that we got one of these where it was just like from start to finish, we never really were worried.
Yeah.
We needed that, especially coming off of that Seattle game, because that, like we said, that's the other thing we were looking at. We were looking at the running backs. We were looking at how the defense was going to respond, and they just checked all the boxes this week. But like you said, I mean, looking at the Falcons roster, it's almost like I don't really know how much of a measuring stick this is, but I also don't really know how much of a measuring stick the Packers will be.
I feel like, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I do feel like this is a game that you win, but it's like almost a must win. And we're way too early in the season to say that, but we lost that one to Seattle. But basically, this is already for full position of first place in the division. You're going in Lambeau, the new quarterback. I saw a statistic today. I'm sorry, Detroit's won the past 3. I hate when they throw those statistics out because it's like, okay, it's like when the kicker's like 49 for 49, yeah. The next one he's gonna shank. But I mean, I know this is a sample size here, but yeah, I just think biggest thing again going to the next game, which again we'll talk about, the pass rush. I'm excited. I was really worried, the lack of pass rush before the week before, all the injuries we're having, Houston out, Pascal out. So it's really good, and I like the fact that they're moving Campbell around, putting him in different situations to be successful. I see you still see a lot of Malcolm Rodriguez. They're really using these guys. Somebody that I don't know if you really paid much attention to, but he was a huge spark plug when we were kind of up and coming, and he wanted to come back and be a part of us. He's the captain. Is Anzalone. He's one of those guys now that I think I'm maybe him dropping in coverage. It feels like there's somebody, the tight end's right behind him making a play, and I love what he's done and been a part of the team. But I feel like again, this goes to the bench, the depth that we have now. I think one of those guys that maybe doesn't sniff the field later in the season, or maybe not necessarily doesn't sniff the field, but I don't see. I would see him losing reps because I think the way these linebackers and linemen are playing.
Yeah, I'm an Anzalone guy. I've always liked him. I don't know. I have no idea what the effect he has on the locker room, but I would tend to agree with you on that. That I could see him being phased out of like a starting lineup role. Before we move completely off of last week's win, though, we should talk about the rookies stepping up again.
Yes,
we were talking about we had to overcome these injuries. How are we going to overcome the injuries? And I guess the answer was rookies. Sam Laporta put up a ridiculous amount of fantasy points this week.
Yes.
Obviously had the wide open touchdown to start things off in as far as touchdowns go for the Lions. But did you see this thing about Branch's 11 tackles or 11? Brian Branch made 11 tackles, registered 3 tackles for loss, and broke up 2 passes.
Yes.
So since these stats were recorded since 99, 10 times that's been done before. He's the 11th person, but all previous 10 were linebackers. I thought that was interesting.
Yes. Did you hear about that? You're getting more of that hybrid type out of the safety. And actually, to tell you the truth, he's playing a nickel. And that was the one thing when Gardner went down, they were talking about, okay, we can put Branch in, but obviously Tracy Walker's going to slide in, which actually, to tell you the truth, Kirby Joseph, I didn't even pay attention. He must have got banged up or something like that. He didn't play a whole lot, but I mean, you kind of got Branch. He's kind of that tweener that plays in that middle role, that nickel. But I mean, between Branch, Campbell, Sam Laporta, I mean, this draft, I mean, and this just again goes to show you what Brad Holmes. I'm a huge Brad Holmes guy. How can you not be? But you make that decision in the middle of the season last year to get rid of a fan favorite, Hawkinson. Then he pretty much comes out and says, hey, I want to be the highest paid tight end this year. They knew it was coming. Detroit didn't want to put that money down on it. And they replaced him with another Iowa guy who I think for the first three games of the season just broke the record for a tight end for most receptions. He's leading the league in receptions, which, again, it's only a sample size. He had a great game. But I can't say enough about Campbell, Branch. And Branch was kind of the forgotten man. I shouldn't say the forgotten man, but he just fell to us. In Alabama, a guy like that. Another guy, I referenced like Amra, that that plays with the chip on his shoulder. He remembers the people that got drafted before him. He should have been there. But one thing that I wanted to see, and I don't know if you saw this because I know you were looking some stuff up on Branch. Have you paid attention? When he is out on the field, he never puts his mouthpiece in. It's always on his helmet. Have you
I
seen,
saw
he's
stuff
always,
about that.
he's got a green mouthpiece. And that was the same thing. I'm thinking to myself, what is this? Like, does the dude just seriously forget he's just that amped up and he forgets? And like, they finally asked him and he said, no, it's, you get on a long drive and he said he can't breathe with a mouthpiece in. But here I'm thinking, like, in the NFL, you don't have to have a mouthpiece. So I don't know if he just puts it in there, just used to it from college. I mean, I don't know, but either way, I'm really, really excited about him. Again, Bijan's a solid back, and he was just meeting him in the hole and running him over. And I mean, he's been delivering some blows. Again, I love Campbell. He's making plays when he's in there, but they're not giving him too much. They're kind of slowly bringing him in. Laporta, again, I can't say enough, but to be that wide open in that play shows, kind of his versatility, how he can get off a block or how he can release. It shows that he probably has a little bit of speed to break it wide open like that, to be that far behind the secondary.
Yeah, speaking of touchdowns, I didn't see Goff's rushing touchdown. Okay, so I'll be honest, I left the bar before
that was
we got to the end. Was it athletic or no?
Well, it was basically a run, the RPO that it would have been to Gibbs if he just stuck it in his gut, and Gibbs probably would have been in the pile, but he pretty much faked it to Gibbs, pulled it out, and just walked it in the end zone. And then I don't know if you've seen the preview, but
no, I haven't seen
the preview, but the replay. But basically, he ran it in, was flexing, and just fired the ball up like 50 rows into the stands. It's kind of like a Stafford touchdown.
Classic.
They're few and far between for those guys.
Yeah, okay. So I had to ask about that because I saw in the thing when I was refreshing. I was like, "Go Goff rushing touchdown." Interesting. All right.
I know. I was like, as I'm like, if I'm at work or if something's going on and I don't watch it, but obviously I was watching that. I always watch the ticker, and I'm like, oh, they must have like spelled Gibbs wrong with golf or something like that. But nope, it was definitely a golf touchdown.
All right. Yeah. So transitioning then, unless you got anything else to say about.
No, that was good. I definitely want to talk about the rookies, but I think we covered that.
Yeah. Okay, so 2-score win at home against Atlanta. Now we go on the road to Lambeau, where we actually open up as, I don't know what it's at right now, but we opened up as a 1-point favorite on the road. Thursday night football. It's been so long. Since week 1. But
so last Thursday night football, I was on DraftKings. Putting in my bets, and I looked ahead to the Lions, and the Lions are plus 100 that last Thursday, a week ago, and it was a no sweat bet. So I was like, I'm definitely taking this because once the line moves, they're going to be like negative. And I think it opened up today. They were negative 110. So basically, I'm hoping for that. I went out there, placed a few other bets based off of, because they always have a Thursday night bonus. So it's like 50% profit bonus for the winner. So again, and then they got the early cash out. If your team goes up 7 points, you automatically win. They don't have to finish the game. So just like opening week against Kansas City, I'm definitely riding the bets here for Detroit. Again, I mentioned, it's almost a must win, even though it's the fourth game of the season, but you can't let Jordan Love start against you like this, and it's sole division for first place. There's a lot behind it, and basically another opportunity for the national media to watch and really say, hey, this is not the same old Lions, because that loss to Seattle kind of it still resonates in the back of people's heads that there's that opportunity that you're going to blow some, but you can't lose this, and I think we match up good. So I'm really looking forward to this game.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's Thursday night, so it's prime time, right? America's watching it, but the first time around it was against the Chiefs, right? So it's kind of like the Chiefs show, and now it's like we're favored on the road. This is going to be kind of like the Lions show in prime time. So this is going to be fun. Are they wearing any special jerseys? Do you know? Have they released?
I haven't heard what they're going to do. We'll see. I don't think, because it's home. I mean, maybe they're wearing all whites on the road. I don't know. I haven't heard. And I know Green Bay doesn't do a whole lot of different
Yeah,
stuff, but
I think it was all whites on opening night. So I was curious if they were going to go that route again or not. But I don't know. It feels a little tougher than Atlanta. And granted, we're going on the road into Lambeau. Thank God it's not like 2 feet of snow time of year yet. Although you never know up there, but it looks like clear skies for now. And I don't know. But it also feels like a game that we should win. I know we're tied with them atop the division, but I think my early gut feeling is a 7-point win.
Okay.
I think
The only concern I have is Aaron Jones coming back, as well as Christian Watson. He hasn't played all season. Jordan Love is like the number one passer regarding most air yards. I think he's like averaging over 10 yards a throw, but he's also the lowest completion percentage in the entire NFL, tied with, I believe, Justin Fields, which doesn't bode well. But that's my only concern. Our secondary, I don't think has been really, really, really challenged this year. Even with Kansas City,
yeah.
I guess you could say they were, but the drops helped us out, made us look really good. So this may be a game where they really open it up and really let the ball fly. Aaron Jones always plays really well against us, but that's my only concern. The outsides and him really trying to open it up. But again, it goes back to the pass rush. If we got that pass rush, I'm really looking forward to these guys getting after Jordan Love, because last week, I don't know if you saw it, but there was literally a play where he got spun around and he threw the ball backwards, like completely backwards. Like he thought.
I saw this.
It just like dumped it, and I'm just like, okay, he's a football player. He's supposed to be in the NFL, but that's one of those plays that, okay, man.
Yeah. I need some long-term. This has long-term effects. This game for me. We went through years of never winning division because due to large part of having to go against Brett Favre and then Aaron Rodgers. And if we could just kick this Jordan Love era off with handing them an L, I think it would do great things. I just don't want to get it stuck into this Lions can't beat Jordan Love thing. So I think it's important in that regard. Also, obviously, to get first place in the division is just an important game. But I think I'm going to go. I want to say 7-point, but then when I give a final score, I think we're higher. Like, I think it's like I don't know. The Packers can score though. So I don't know, maybe I'm not ready for a score yet.
They just came back from a 17-point deficit.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
won last week. So, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not there yet with the score, but I mean that their offense, like outside of their wide receivers, they're unproven. Although they've played good, they're young. But Aaron Jones he's kind of an old dog, but he always plays us well. But I mean, just to me, this all sets up to be like Seattle again, like where you're not really concerned. Although I think Seattle has more talent, but there's nothing that really, really scares you. So it's like, okay, we got to go in there. Dan Campbell, bite the kneecaps, that stuff, and really put it to him. And it's got to be like the Atlanta game where there's no concern at all. Otherwise, if you keep it too close, then you're a glutton for punishment, and you're allowing one quick play to change the outcome of the game.
Yeah. So okay. So looking up like head-to-head stats here, I think one of the things I'm going to look for is third downs. It looks like Green Bay tied for 5th in the league in third down percentage. We're towards the bottom. We're like tied 20th. So
yeah,
I think third downs might tell the story of this game. But then again, who knows? Because the Lions they play 4 downs every series.
Yeah, I was just say, what's our 4th down percentage?
So I think I'm gonna give us a 30-23 win.
See, I want to get into that 30 park range, and I'm kind of there. But I'm saying 27-17. Okay. I just feel like that there's no reason this offense should score more than 17 points as far as Green Bay. I think this, I'm referencing a lot of the past games, obviously, like Seattle. You don't want to think about that, the way it worked out. But the same thing with opening week, Thursday night, against Pat Mahomes and those guys, who would have thought it would have been like a low-scoring game going into half? And I think that's kind of where we need to be. There's an opportunity for Montgomery to come back. Like I said, they're waiting for Christian Watson. To me, Give Montgomery an extra week. This is a short week. Obviously, he's not had 2 full weeks off yet from the injury. There's potential that it was going to be 3 to 4 to 5 weeks for him. He says he's feeling good. Give him an extra week. There's no reason we can't go in there, play, get Gibbs going again. The one thing that hasn't really, I guess I should say that's more so surprised me is has Gibbs' involvement in the passing game. I don't think it's quite been there yet. And even when he's had the opportunity to catch a few balls, there's been a few drops that I'm like, okay, I figured that would be his kind of money.
Do you think it's a case where they're just trying to like give him, bits and pieces of playbook at a time, and maybe they just don't have the reps with him in the passing game? Or do you think it's more like they just don't want to show their entire hand yet on offense?
I think it's more so they haven't completely opened it up, because in training camp there was a scrimmage against the Giants, I believe, and he ran like a fly route against a defensive. Or I mean, he ran a fly route on the linebacker and just completely just torched him for like a 60-yard bomb. Just caught it. So I think I think you're seeing that Ben Johnson is slowly adding things here and there, and I think that's the beauty of his game, and that's a lot of coaching staffs. They're only going to give you a little bit, but I think he's fully in the playbook. They're just slowly opening up, because I think really the injury to Montgomery probably is like, okay, we didn't plan on throwing him in on these situations, but now he's here. Montgomery is not, so we need to include him in this, which he knows the playbook, but I didn't think he's necessarily gone through as many reps as you would expect at this point.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, so you're giving a 10-point win. I'm giving a 7-point win.
Yeah. 10-point win. So I think Detroit, obviously, that's why I took my 7-point bet there. I think they open up 7-0. We'll see where it goes, but again, there's no reason whoever gets the ball first, if it's Detroit, they should go down. Kind of like we were talking about, we were hoping like a really crisp first drive against Pat Mahomes and the old Chiefs. It didn't really work out that way, but I think it works out this way. Or if Green Bay gets the ball first, we really, like you said, third down efficiency. I think we stop them on the first 3 downs.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Brian Branch forcing a turnover in this game. I feel safe going on that limb. I think Campbell said he's getting better every week. He's stepping up every week, and I think he's on the verge of doing something bad. I know he had the opening week, pick 6, but I think we're ramping up something big there. So I'm looking for big play Branch to come up with something. I've got a 7-point win.
All right.
So anything else that you want to touch on?
Yeah, I was just saying I like that, but I'm kind of on the opposite, because Branch has slowly made his name. This is obviously a national game, but I think somebody that nobody's talked about that has played really well is Cam Sutton. I think he gets us the key turnover in this game. Jerry Jacobs they've been keying on him. He's been here and there. He hasn't given up like anything huge, but Cam Sutton has been a great staple in this defense so far, and I think he's going to be the playmaker this week. So really looking forward to that, taking jumping into that inexperience of Jordan Love.
Yeah. I mean, we're about due for an Aiden Hutchinson interception too. I mean, the pace that he was on last year.
At this point,
we should get one soon. Yeah,
nothing wrong with that. So,
all right. So around the rest of the league in week 3, any other games that you caught or anything that caught your eye?
Yeah. So there's actually quite a few things. Usually, I just kind of touch on basic things here or there.
Yeah.
But we can go through these quick. But the one we definitely have to talk about. But have you followed up on DeAndre Swift? Have you been watching have you paid attention to anything outside of week 1, what he's done?
They played the Bucks this week. So yeah, of course I watched that game.
Oh, yeah.
And he looked good.
I think past 2 weeks he's got 300 yards rushing. His second week, it was a career day for him. I think 170 yards. I could be wrong, but good for him. Looking for, after the first week, I was like, all right, good. He didn't do anything, no big deal. But, in an offense like that, how can you not, like, just that skill set? That's a perfect skill set. Maybe that's the real Kelsey Swift combo right there in Philly. So who knows?
Yeah, Frustrating game to watch from a Bucks fan perspective, but yeah, I almost texted you during that game to see if you were watching it because it stood out.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't.
DeAndre Swift looked good.
Miami and Philly, I just love watching both those teams. And I know you know Miami. We talked a little bit about Miami, you and I, when we were talking. So
Yeah. Yeah, 70 points, most in an NFL game since 1966, which is crazy.
and they could have tied the record, but Mike McDaniels of all people decided to kneel it out, which I figured he'd be like, just go for a 5-point field goal or something to win it.
Yeah. yeah. Actually, yeah, it surprises me too that he would kneel that out. But 50-point win, the 50-point win almost seems a bit crazier than the 70 points total because you just don't see that in the NFL. I mean, you see it all the time in college, but
Against Russell Wilson.
yeah, which like Russ didn't even have a bad game.
So I mean, yeah, you don't. You would think that was the Bears offense that you're playing against.
Yeah. So tough scene for Denver. Things are not looking good there. Things are also not looking good in Minnesota. 0-3, 3 tie losses. This one they took an L from the Chargers. I don't know. I've seen rumors of Kirk Cousins maybe possibly trade down the line. I don't know. What's your thought on the Vikings? I feel like the Vikings don't stay quiet forever, but I also feel like 0-3 is like you guys are far behind.
I was listening to it, and they said there's like a certain percentage of team to start 0-2 to make the playoffs, and a certain percentage for 0-3. 0-2, it's like I don't know what it was, but 0-3 is like abysmal. And to see that offense do this, I mean, really, they're missing Thielen and Dalvin Cook, which Dalvin Cook for them was always consistent. Thielen was always like your kind of go-to underneath security valve, but Hawkinson's been tearing it up. I think he's had 2 touchdown games already. You got Jordan Jefferson, obviously. Madison's not a bad player, but really there's not a lot of change there, and it pains me because as much as they're in division, my stepdad's he's from Minnesota, so he's a Minnesota fan. So he and my mom went to the game this past week. And the last game they went to was Dallas last year. And every time they go to see Minnesota, I text them. I said, have you guys even seen Minnesota win a live game yet? Like every time, I don't know if they're like the kiss of death, but I don't know. Like I figured it'd be us in Minnesota at the top of the division battling out. Here are with Green Bay. Green Bay was kind of an afterthought. I thought Justin Fields would have played better. That's a whole nother story. I feel like right now is, like I said, week 4, Thursday night football. This is a huge opportunity for Detroit, something that the city hasn't seen. I know probably in previous episodes we've probably said that, but then we come on the following week, say same old Lions. I don't think it's like that. But yeah, I don't know. Minnesota, I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. Tough scene for them. I would hate to be a Vikings fan because it's almost like it's not like you're the Broncos who are getting blown up by 50. Like these are close games. Like so, I that's tough. That's tough.
And really, my fantasy reference here: Kirk Cousins is my fantasy quarterback, and every week he starts off like with 8 points going into the fourth quarter. I'm like, this is going to be a shit show. And then by the end of the fourth quarter, he's got 30 or 40 points because he just like lights it up. Like all of a sudden they decide, okay, now we're going to score. And so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I've had that a couple because I had in my league I was first overall pick, right? So I picked Justin Jefferson, and he gets some slow starts, but yeah, his points are always there by the end of the game. Elsewhere in the league, though, the Raiders 1-2. Devontae Adams speaking out about how it's frustrating that they cannot win games. And here's the curveball. I texted you I was going to throw you a curveball, and I don't know if you've ever even thought about this, but your initial thoughts on how would you feel about the Lions going after a trade for Devontae Adams? Do you think that fits or no?
Yeah, I mean, there was a link. Obviously, I think we talked about Mike Evans early in the season and some other guys. And, I think with the cap that we have, it's there because we're able to do it. But I just don't think it'll ever be done because Brad Holmes has been true to the draft. He made a few big splashes defensively this year. I think Devontae Adams said pretty much that the Raiders he just told them that they're not doing anything right or they're not doing anything to win. All these guys are coming out. Same thing with Justin Fields, saying all these things. it's hard to see which. I don't want to get too far away from Vontae Adams, but I just don't think it fits. It don't fit. It doesn't fit the script for what Detroit's doing. Although, hey, he's a hell of a receiver.
Yeah, no. I'm glad you said that because I think that's what like a lot of people's first reaction would be is like hell of a receiver. You know, I'd love to have him, but because I asked my brother the same thing earlier today, and pretty much the same thing. He's like, I just don't think it fits what Detroit's doing. I don't think it fits what they're trying to accomplish. Especially with we got Jameson Williams.
That's what I'm saying. The waiting.
Yeah, and so you don't know what that would do to like Amon-Ra's development, which is what my brother brought up. Which I want to talk a little bit more about Amon-Ra St. Brown and like where do you see his realistically? Because we're Motor City realists. What do you? Because he's not like he's not Justin Jefferson. He's not in that tier, but like where is he better than Terry McLaurin?
Yeah, I think, which rightfully so. We reference Matt Stafford. I think he's a Cooper Kupp type guy. You know, you just feed the guy, 8 to 10 balls a game that he's going to catch, and he's going to get over 100 yards. He's just going to break it, but basically he's going to average 10, 15 yards a game. But I feel like the past couple of games he's actually had some snags. Would have been pretty decent deep balls, but he did have one drop that I knew he's beating himself up on this past week. But those are big shoes to say Cooper Kupp. But you got a guy like that. He's going to catch the ball. Here's your safety valve. The defense knows, but it only gets better when Jameson comes back. Obviously they said he's hungry. He was making some tweets or Instagram or something like that. But everything's developing and opening up to where the speed is going to open it up over top even more, and he's going to continue to be a relief valve as well as working Laporta in. So he's a great guy. I feel like he gets banged up here and then, but he always plays. He plays through it. So I mean, how can you not love a guy like that has that chip on his shoulder, that is kind of an undersized guy, very consistent. He says a lot of. Well, I shouldn't say a lot of. He says everything right. He's been, no issue here and there off the field. You got a lot of these receivers that come in and, you have issues. But I mean, man, what a great find by Brad Holmes again. Late producing and I think actually, tell you the truth, as much as the media talks about him, I still think he's very underappreciated by the national media.
Yeah, I think you actually put it beautifully. I mean, dependable is is the word I would use to describe Amon-Ra, and because he can fill in at your number one if you need him to, but also like when we get Jameson back, it's gonna be like, he's gonna do even better with less attention on him, obviously as most would, but the point is, like, I don't think he's not like the kind of guy where like if he does get slot down to number 2 or number 3, it doesn't not make sense. It's not like, he should be a number 1 somewhere else. It's just like, I just think he has the ability to fill in number 1 if he has to.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, most of these outside guys you talk about, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, all these outside guys, AJ Brown, that really play the outside and run down the field and take top off and play further down the field where these slot guys are. There's the guys going over the middle. They're usually the smaller guys. The shiftier guys, they're maybe not to be the 40-yard dash, the fastest guy, but they're kind of like your relief valves. You're kind of, and you see again Cooper Kupp, these guys like that are really making a name for themselves. I'm obviously a Buckeye guy. I love Terry McLaurin, but no, I don't think they're in the same category because I really think that Amon-Ra is a top 5 receiver.
Wow. Okay. The other game that I thought was interesting was the Cowboys losing to the Cardinals.
There was so much to talk about. I think I've got another one in my head. I'm waiting for you to say it, but this too is to me. So basically, they whooped the Giants' ass. The Cowboys, the Giants beat up on Arizona. And then Dallas loses to Arizona with a QB-led Josh Dobbs. Good for them, and I mean, is that the parity in the NFL, or is that like? I mean, I feel like oh god, what's his name? Mercury, what's his name for the Miami Dolphins from that 70-some team? He every year he celebrates when a team that's undefeated loses, And I don't know necessarily that you're ever going to see that anymore. I mean, not going to lie, Miami's looking really strong, but I would have said Miami and Dallas are your early Super Bowl favorites. I'm not saying one game's going to change that. It'll be interesting to see kind of where they show up this week as far as Dallas, but obviously didn't expect that. Tony Pollard, everyone's talking about, is he going to get it going? He still played good, but I mean, I don't. What can you say about the Cowboys? I mean, obviously nobody had that. That's definitely not your pick 'em. Most people probably thought that it was a safe pick taking Dallas that week.
Yeah. I mean, this is just Dallas, right? I mean, they do this every year. You get them, they're like America's team. Here we go, and I don't know. Like I almost just want to say no comment because like this is just so par for the course for.
Is this
Cowboys
why Dak gets shit on?
Yeah, probably. I mean, the Arizona Cardinals they're not good, and I don't know. That's not a game you should lose as Dallas, but. All right, what's the other game you're waiting to? Because now it's too much pressure, and I'm gonna go through them all.
All right, and I feel like we have to have Ryan McCarthy on, but the goddamn Jets.
Oh yeah, the Patriots game.
We talked last year how the Jets and Lions development was probably on the same trajectory.
Yeah,
the Jets were a little more advanced. Then you see them go all in for Aaron Rodgers. Pretty much the GM, every front office said, Aaron, you're here. You can take full control. Bring your players in. And he did, which totally fine. He gets hurt. Now it's like nobody knows what's going on. They said literally they're like at the wit's end with their coach now, which was supposed to be a stand-up guy, that because he's backing Zach Wilson. And they said that this locker room is one conversation away from imploding.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the outside national media, the previous players weighing in? I don't know if you saw what Aaron Rodgers said today on the Pat McAfee show, saying that, basically they need to quit pointing fingers, and if I was there, it'd be a little different. And he wasn't like condescending about it because y'all know me and Zach are not the biggest Rodgers fans. But I see him. He's in California resting. What are your thoughts on that situation? And is this just the tip of the iceberg for that team? And are we going to see something really, really bad?
Yeah, my first thought is thank God we hired Dan Campbell and not Robert.
Because I was kind of on the bandwagon.
I was too. And he's
a Dearborn guy.
Yeah, this is how we don't know shit. This is why we're just sitting in here doing Motor City Reels podcasting and now running the Detroit Lions. Because that is my first thought is thank God we got the coach that we got, because Saleh is. I mean, there's people who've talking about like he's delusional supporting Zach Wilson. I get he just wants to support his quarterback, but like there's people who are like, yeah, you can't even be supportive because everyone else is like you're nuts. Obviously, this kid sucks.
Well, I think as a leader, you gotta probably support somebody longer if they're struggling.
Yeah,
but then it gets to a point where there's like the integrity of that support, and it's like I think that's. Mm-hmm. Really where it's at, and it's like, okay, dude, like everybody says this kid sucks. Like he was the second pick. I mean, it is what it is. It's done. And then they signed Trevor Siemian 2 weeks later, which why would they not have made the decision? Which I heard Carson Wentz was in town for a tryout and stuff like that. That was kind of low key, but I mean, you referenced Kirk Cousins because I've heard Kirk Cousins to the Jets.
I've heard kind of
just. In the passing, but I mean, going from 0-3 to 0-3, I mean, is a Jets roster that much better than Minnesota?
Yeah, and I mean, if he's used to Minneapolis living, and he's from Michigan, so he's a Midwest guy. I mean, moving to New York, that's tough. That doesn't seem like a Kirk Cousins thing to do.
And he's the most modest dude in the world. Yeah,
exactly. So I don't know, garbage franchise. Honestly. They can't figure it out, and this is what they get. This is what they deserve for doing the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes. Because you play with fire.
You made America wait on this bullshit.
I mean, seriously, man. You get set up with this new offense with Aaron Rodgers. You spent all summer working on it, and he goes down 2 plays. Now you're back to like just an unprepared franchise. And I hope we can get Ryan on this show this season so that he can own up to everything that he said.
Well, I mean, you hit it right there. Like, I get it. The buy-in was with Aaron Rodgers, but this is an NFL franchise. Like, it doesn't stop there. Like, the world did not just end. Like, you still got to go out and play 14 more games or 13 more games.
Yeah, the way they play looks like they signed Aaron Rodgers and then we're like, all right, we're done working.
Yeah.
We'll let him call plays at the line of scrimmage. And they're like, shit. Now we have a job to do for 17 weeks that we didn't prepare for.
That defense is actually really good. So the defense is kind of playing against themselves because unless they score points, I mean, it's kind of a lose-lose.
Yeah. So, unless I can figure something out at the quarterback position, I don't think it bodes well for the Jets the rest of the season. If whoever is playing the Bears defense is not available on the waiver wire, I'm picking whoever is playing the Jets.
Oh yeah, they said that they're not sure Justin Fields is back next year with the Bears, and if he is, it's definitely not in the number one role. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But we are definitely in the driver's seat of that division.
Yeah. Yes. Talk about another guy who seemingly did nothing over the summer as would be Justin Fields. I don't understand. Like the guy, I thought he was gonna have a breakout year. He's a super talented athlete, and it's like is for somehow he got 0.000% better over the summer. I don't get it.
Yeah, that game was. I mean, we talk about that Miami game, and I feel like the Miami game wasn't even as painful as watching the Bears and the old Chiefs. I just felt like that was like excruciating, gouge my eye. Like it's to the point where, again, I reference me being an Ohio State guy. I want to see Justin Fields do well, but like I just like give me one play to show that he's like he's there for a reason. And I remember watching him in college, and I was starstruck. Like this guy is posed. This is probably gonna be one of the few guys that comes out of Ohio State that's gonna be a real quarterback because it seems like they're all duds. And I'm like, how can you not? I mean, his build, his physique, his talent last year. I mean, he rushed for. This year, it's like they figure the guy out, or is they were supposed to add extra talent. Ryan Poole is supposed to be the next GM of the year, and a lot like the Jets. Like what is happening? Although there was no injuries there, it's just they were supposed to get better.
Yeah, to me, it's got to be coaching. It just doesn't seem like. It doesn't even look like the Bears are out there playing a game. It looks like they're literally still trying to. Games look like practice to them. Like they're just still trying to figure it out, and
it's a lot like the Devontae Adams situation. Like these star players, like get to a point, like you're 0-3. That the chances of you making the playoffs are really slim. It's like, what do they got to play for? I mean, they're cashing in, but it's like there's a lot of egos in the NFL. There's a lot of things, but I mean, hey, whatever. I guess that's for another day. But before we go, I do have to mention one thing, and I know you saw it. Everybody saw it. Obviously, I referenced the real Kelce and Swift, but Taylor Swift with Travis Kelce in the suite with his mom. I don't know if you saw obviously all that, but basically, did you see the statistic? Since that game, he has gained 300,000 social media followers. His jersey is one of the top selling jerseys now. And I think everything about him, they said it was like up 400%, basically. His jerseys, all that kind of stuff. And then after the game, he had a private party for players. He rented out an entire restaurant, brought her straight, took her in a drop top. I don't know if it was like a Cutlass or something with no license plates, drove it right down the highway. This dude from Cincinnati, Ohio boy, Zach, I mean, I know you're a Michigan guy, but Travis Kelce, I mean, is he a guy that you love to hate or you can't not hate the guy?
I don't know how you can hate the guy.
I'm the same way.
Like I have absolutely no reason to like this guy, and I like this guy. And I don't know why. I don't even like Taylor Swift that much.
And you know what's funny is like she like annoys. I guess I shouldn't say she annoys me. The publicity,
careful,
but for some
reason,
reason,
be after you.
Yeah, but for some reason, like now it's like she's growing on me. But kind of swinging it here. and we can end it on this unless you got something else. Is the NFL, how do I want to say this? Does the NFL literally have a stranglehold on everything? And when I say that, this is what I'm saying is, okay, so basically, how do you turn women into sports fans, or how do you turn women into watching the NFL? Taylor Swift, she starts dating a player. Well, the night before the same day, Carrie Underwood is in Las Vegas. They show her on the Jumbotron. I feel like I reference parity in the NFL, but like, I just feel like, I don't know why, but like, you talk about the NCAA being so corrupt. I feel like the NFL, like, I just feel like it's like a crooked government, man.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, look, after covering ever since I joined Belly Up, to be honest, which was like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And I started looking at the NFL a lot closer than I used to. It is so obviously a mini government. Like it's not. It's to the point where it's like it doesn't even like. I see people like arguing online like it's rigged. It's rigged. It's not rigged. It's like they don't care about those arguments. They are running it so smoothly that like and I just like I see these people arguing is it rigged? Which I used to be one of those guys. Okay, when I was scrappy on Twitter, I'd be like this shit's rigged. Like. And now I just know. I just know. It's
you don't hear the voices.
Yeah. I'm like, I see something on TV and I go, yeah.
Smooth.
Yeah, HQ, call down. Like, bro, I was watching a game and I don't even remember who it was. It was two teams I did not care about. They called third down. They called a phantom offsides. They literally, it was 3rd and 4. The team that was favored had the ball. Offsides. They replayed it 3 or 4 times. The announcers were like, I don't see anybody moving. Right? And nobody on the field contested this. I was like, this is so obvious. So anyways, yeah, it's I got carried away with whatever it is you asked me. But yeah, the NFL is a government and it's all these women involving themselves into politics, Carrie Underwood and Taylor Swift. But this just shows you that music transcends as big as we think the NFL.
I guess yeah, like you said, I was just going to reference that the NFL is huge, but also the female and women music, which hats off to them because music in general, but the female and women music, for what they're doing.
Yeah, if she's boosted Kelsey's memorabilia sales that much, I mean. That just goes to show you, like, that's just how many people that are into music that never would have thought about Travis Kelce, but now they do. So it's crazy.
But yes, Zach, unless you got anything else, what you got?
No, yeah. One last roundtable thing to cover up before we leave is Deion Sanders in Colorado finally got what was coming to them. I don't mean that in a negative way. I was supporting the boys, but I mean the Cinderella story had to end. They weren't going to come from 1-11 to win a championship. So
yeah, and they got a tough task this week against USC. So we'll see. But I think I reference the national media quite a bit, but I think the national media, ESPN, and all those guys, and maybe the guys outside of ESPN are like happy because they were tired of listening to every week about Deion Sanders. Yeah.
And now you can just kind of hover them in the rankings up in those 20s, and you don't have to ever worry about it.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, they want to put their big boy pants on. That's fine. They gotta beat USC this week, but I don't see it happen.
Yeah, I don't either. All right, that is that for.
Yeah, that's all I got. We're good.
We are heading into Lambeau. We're trying to go 3-1, take a hold of the division. I think we might have had a lead on the division for like a week last year. Maybe I could be wrong about that. We didn't double check, but we're trying to get back there this weekend. Thursday Night Football, y'all, Amazon Prime, I believe. So don't forget about that. And I'll let Mike sign us out of here.
No, man, Zach took over the show. I told him, I said, hey, man, I talked too much.
Oh, okay.
So that's good.
Yeah, all right. So anyone listening at home on your podcast, we appreciate you tuning in. Anyone on the live streams, we appreciate you tuning in. Remember, you can always find us here. Usually on Wednesdays, sometimes on Thursdays, live on YouTube, Facebook, comment, speak along with us. We'll throw your comments up on the screen. We'll interact. That's just how we do it. Let's go into week 4. Let's go 3-1. And let's bring it home. Long week, then we come home for the Panthers. So let's grab this one on the road.
You dig?
Peace.